Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Hello.
And Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Nearly.
It's just automatic. I can't help it. And we're recording this fresh off the back of the Players. As always, you can get in touch with us on @CookieJarGolf on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. And actually, don't bother going on Clubhouse because we don't do anything on it. So there we go. Chaps, the Players. It was a good event, wasn't it?
Yeah, got me properly excited about golf. The other ones have been good, but watching the Players was like, I'm ready to get back out there and hit balls now. So
yeah, I watched 75% of the final round, which is the first time I've done that.
Unheard of for you, Bruce.
Yeah.
Usually a Monday highlights man, aren't you?
Well, if that, yeah.
Still didn't quite watch it live though, did you?
No, but I don't think anyone can watch it live. With the number of Sky Sports ads where it's like, let's just watch one shot, then another ad.
So what you do is the idea you sit down,
gently,
you pause it at 7 p.m, you have a nice spread, have a nice dinner.
Exactly.
Take your time, bottle of red.
Yeah, you did the same. I don't have a bottle of red, but the rest of it is accurate. You two did the same though. Doesn't everyone watch it slightly behind, unless it's a major and you're in the final few holes?
The only problem is I get a little bit of like phone fear when that happens.
Yeah.
So I think yesterday I'd lost an hour on the coverage and I was like rapidly cycling through it. But then equally, I couldn't pick up my phone because then otherwise you might as well just skip to what's happening live. Because everything's played live out on Twitter, isn't it?
I'd say that's positive because you're combining some mindfulness away from your phone when we're all too hooked into that kind of stuff. Mate, my point's
the woke millennials into the pod.
Yeah, but
he's not a millennial.
Just
Gen
watch
X
the
or
last.
something on you.
Aim to. I'm not sure. I don't
How old are you, Bruce?
I don't like labels. I'm 25.
25, yeah. Okay.
But no, I stand by the point that you want to watch the last few holes live, maybe the last 3 holes live, and then just start late enough that you can gently run it forward.
Well, anyway, we digress. It was a very good event to answer your initial question, I think, Tom.
Exciting.
I couldn't help but feel a bit sad for Westy. I say Westy. I don't really like that name, to be fair.
Is he a pal? Is he a pal, Westy?
I don't like this name, Westy. Can we just kick it off there?
I mean, it's his choice. It's Westy is emblazoned on the back of his hat, and also Helen Sawrey's caddy's hat. So maybe Lee, if you're listening, if you could give Sam a call and explain where this comes from. Well, I don't see what's wrong with it, Westy.
I just prefer Westwood. Westy just feels like something you'd call someone.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if you've noticed this. Ewan Murray actually on the commentary quite a bit likes to give it the Lee John Westwood, as if he sort of knows him better than anyone.
Like he's done something wrong.
From Lee John Westwood. Come on, Ewan.
Westwood just reminds me of like a really tall failed rapper.
Bit before my time.
Was that before you? Was it? It does like a British version of Pimp My Ride.
Westwood, drop the bomb. Yeah, let's not go there.
Okay. It was difficult to watch, wasn't it? Because as good as he was over the first 3 days, he just looked in full scramble mode, didn't he? Round 4, he scrambled his arse off. To be fair, and he was grinding hard. But
you mean on the 4th round or the 4th hole?
4th round, sorry.
Yeah, right. Because the 4th hole, we should park that for a bit later discussion because that was some of the most unbelievable golf
Let's do it
I've
now.
seen
Why
live.
not? Let's just do it now.
What?
But no, I've got a bone to pick with you because you said there like he just didn't, faded away a little bit. And actually, my dad kind of said the same thing. He was like,
struggled to hit fairways, struggled to hit greens.
Yeah, but 3 words that you like to spout on this podcast in the past.
Norm.
Yeah. So has he just regressed to his mean?
You can't have it both ways.
Well, because in the final round, Westwood was 55% green and regs.
Yeah, 10 out of 18.
He was also essentially 4th from bottom, strokes gained driving. So
in the final
there were
round.
71 people teeing it up yesterday. He's 67% strokes gained off the tee. I think in there lies the problem because that place, per your words last week, Bruce, it's penal personified, really, isn't it? Yeah. He actually, for a man who's famed for fading away with the putter, he didn't. He putted really well
he putted
all week.
Put the lights out,
But yeah, he was putting himself in just bad places off the tee, I think, fundamentally.
Yeah, and so I mentioned earlier, like, my dad and I think plenty of older guys who have seen him over the years, maybe around 2009, 10, 11, which was perhaps just before I was getting into golf and watching a lot of it. People would say he's, kind of faded away and he's just he's just done the same thing again. Whereas I don't necessarily see it that way. I think actually he seems to be in a much better headspace. He seems so relaxed and like carefree and in a good space. And I think I'd just take him at his word in what he said in the post-round interview, where he's like I'm 47, like kind of, played a lot of golf recently and like just found it tough going physically out there. And yeah, the parts of his game that he's normally so reliant on, or he's been such a leader in those stats of off the tee and strokes gained approach, he just kind of, lost it a bit there yesterday, which was a shame to see, but he's human, isn't he?
He's also a good winner. So I think he's notched up something like 40 odd worldwide wins in his career. Obviously playing a lot of that on the European Tour as well. But, people talk about his major record, and I think, yeah, okay. Then there's a few instances in the majors. There was one year in the Masters where he was clinical tee to green and should have walked it by 5-6 shots, and he didn't. But on the whole, he's a really good guy, getting a win, getting it done. I think I can probably sympathise. They usually say last week's winner is almost guaranteed to bomb out the next week, don't they? And clearly Bryson had a good week. But you've got to think 8 days in, what would that be, about 11 full days of high-level competitive golf under the elements against people, some of them half his age. I mean, what's Justin Thomas, 26, 27, something like that? I think hats off to the guy to stay there and compete. And a bad day with the driver. Yeah, everyone was pulling for him, wasn't it? That was clear.
Rolled it in on the last to take outright second, $1.6 million, I think. So,
cool check.
I was watching round 3 when he was partnered with Matt Fitzpatrick and just going like, ooh, that's awkward. Does anyone else think that?
Well, with Billy Foster.
Yeah.
So I spotted that and thought, actually, that's going to be really good for him. Because obviously Fitzpatrick's Hallamshire, I think, and
couple
all
of
up around
lads,
that. Yeah, they're both up from within an hour's drive of each other. And obviously the Billy Foster thing's going to be, they're pretty close, aren't they? I don't think there was any animosity there.
I think they had a bit of an odd split. So because I saw it and I thought, ooh, this could be a touch.
So
awkward.
you did a bit of digging, did you?
Yeah, so I had a look and, basically you can see why Westwood's got his misses on the bag, because he wanted to take more control of like his yardages. He wanted to do more of that. He wanted to take more ownership for it. And Billy maybe felt a little bit uncomfortable letting Westwood just do all that and just thought, well, what am I doing? Just carrying a bag. And I think at the end, I read a quote coming from Lee Westwood that said, he said that he had said to Billy, I'm playing better when you're not here. And Billy Foster turned around and said, well, I can't caddy the way that I want to caddy for you. And they just basically said,
I did not know that.
So,
my read on it was he had a break from tournament play, and whether that was around the same time as his divorce or something, I'm not sure. But then by the time he went back to pick it up, Billy Foster had already picked up Fitzpatrick's bag and had kind of moved on a little bit.
It's kind of natural, I think, as well.
I didn't know there was that.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
They said that they still remain friends, but if you're turning around and saying to somebody, I play better when you're not here, and then the guy responds, well, I can't caddy for you the way I want to caddy. And that was an article on Bunkered that came
Bunkered.
from...
Fame for that journalistic integrity.
Actually, let me rewind that.
The Daily Mail of golf, is it?
And that was an article I read that came from Lee Westwood. I can't remember if it was on Bunkered or not, but it came from Lee Westwood's mouth. So
we're not taking out the Bunkered reference in this part.
No,
I'll
tell you what, sailed out
the cesspit of golf
journalism.
I will
find out where that came from. But it came from Lee Westwood's mouth. So as long as he said it.
You're not going to believe what Lee Westwood said next.
Clickbait Central.
We are not associating ourselves with that.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
No, I think that's an interesting point. But because I watched it and thought he played, it was first class performance on Saturday. And
was
I was watching.
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to take.
Well, okay. The back nine performance. I thought it was a very good performance under those circumstances, wasn't it? And to go into Sunday with a two-shot 54-hole lead was mightily impressive. Hold a great putt on 17. And I was watching them all walk up to the green on 17 and thought, maybe there's something in here around just having a nice group that you're playing with that's maybe assisting him along. I didn't really know the stuff you talked about there, and probably needs a bit more, it sounds like we're just shooting from
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm just looking at some stats, and we talk about how Westwood was played really well on Saturday and then not so well on Sunday. Well, both Friday and Saturday, his driving accuracy was only 50%. So he never drove the ball well. So Friday was 50%, Saturday was 50%, and on Sunday was 42%. So it was a little bit worse, but it's not massively worse.
Okay, but the misses are different though as well.
The difference
was
he hit
the water twice.
Yeah, on Friday and Saturday he was hitting like 85% of green regs.
Yeah, so the misses were better. The misses off the tee.
I always think it's hard when you're playing partners topping it and shanking it around, though, don't you?
So can we get onto this? Because that, I obviously, bit of a sketchy recovery shot he hit on the second, goes in the water, makes bogey on the par 5. The 4th hole would have been a weird one, though, I think. Just looking at DeChambeau. I mean, Doherty absolutely nailed it. It's one of the best bits of commentary I've heard in a long time when he was like, last week we were talking about driving par 5s. This week he's topped it in the water. I mean, this is how nuts the game is. It's just like, that is a great line. Yeah, I wonder whether that does something to you where your like nearest contender just hits a stone cold top rescue wood or 3 wood into the water, and you're just thinking, I've never even seen that water being in play off this tee shot.
They looked phased, both of them, if we're being honest. Those first few, they looked like, I mean, Bryson didn't start well, did he? Let's be honest. Westwood started pretty hot. But then when you've watched Bryson, I think someone else said it, you see these guys hosel it occasionally. You don't see them top the ball frequently at all. Not
off a tee peg in a flat stance on a tee box.
I mean, someone, I can't remember, was it Rahm did it at the Masters last year, but he was kind of, he was trying to gun 3 wood off the deck.
On a hanging line.
On the hanging line. So, this ball's teed up. Anyhow. Yeah, I thought it was...
Andrew Coulthard was talking about the tolerances of the equipment when you're swinging at that speed. It's like, actually, Andrew, I think he's hit that ball like 1.5 inches too high.
I mean, he's just not tolerant enough. Of the ball. But his misses were right. Like the cut had gone in pretty hard by then. I don't know how much of that was the media sort of loving to talk at TPC and the Masters, always about shaping the ball multiple different ways. So they keep asking Westwood about, you like to sort of hit hard up the left and bring it back, and whether that just... He started to believe it almost to the point of... Really?
Was that what they were talking about?
Every time I saw him interviewed, there was a lot of left to right sort of... just. Yeah. There's always a few courses where they talk about shot shape, I find. And TPC and Augusta National are the 2 biggest candidates. And they were talking to him heavily about how he sort of likes to hit that sort of left to right slider. But then it turned into a flat out slice, didn't it, by a few tee shots. The one he hit on 4 was miles out.
He just left the face open, didn't he, really? But, I mean, not to labour the Westwood dissection too much, because obviously it's apparent that we're all very much rooting for him. We're loving to see we're really enjoying seeing him being back at contending and at the top of leaderboards at such prestigious PGA Tour events. But I think McGinley did make quite an interesting point where he was like, Westwood probably hasn't had the respect he deserves amongst Americans, where it's like, I think a lot of people have that Paul Azinger mentality where it's like, yeah, okay, well, he's won 44 times in Europe, but that's like the sort of second tier. And actually there's a bit more nuance to it. Like, PGA Tour fields by and large are stronger, but I think that's only become, truly apparent over the last few years, not when Westwood was at his peak of his powers. And also,
race to Dubai,
there's other stuff going on. Yeah, like, he's contending the majors, and he should be. He was world number 1. I think he was the one who knocked Tiger off the top spot, or maybe he was after Luke Donald. But he just, I do definitely sympathise with McGinley's point that he should, he deserves a lot more respect. And I think the American golf media don't necessarily do a good job of giving him that respect in a lot of the interviews.
While we're on the media, just moving us on slightly, last week we talked about being too vulnerable with the media. So I'm talking here about Rory. I thought it was, without going into the performance, which clearly not right with the golf, but then go straight out and just yet again pours his heart out.
It's too much, isn't it? It's overshare.
Do you think? Yeah.
I think
candid, isn't it?
I almost think Rory's become this sort of self-perpetuating sort of myth, because it's like, oh, Rory's a lad because he's so honest and genuine with the media, and now he goes in there with the mindset, I'm an honest and genuine man with the media, and they ask him a question and he's like, I'm just going to tell you everything what's going on inside my head. And it's like, we're of course referring to, if you haven't seen it, in a post-round interview after he missed the cut, and they said, what went wrong, and he basically just poured his heart out, saying how he'd been basically chasing Bryson and been doing speed training,
wing foot,
trying to get that speed up so he can hit longer drives, and his swing's gone to pot. And it's like, fuck, that's like, I know we say, Alcoholics Anonymous, the first thing you got to do is admit you're an alcoholic, but to admit that you've been chasing Bryson out loud and it's ruined your swing is
I think it's incredible stuff again to hear. Because and I always use the Koepka analogy, who just shares what he's prepared to share, and I think it can be a pretty fearsome guy to watch because he backs himself in front of the media. You know, he has a swagger about him. And Rory's just there sort of openly admitting that he's chasing a guy that, you know, has really split opinion around the game for the last 12 or 18 months. You think, well, why are we saying this? Just take the 3 weeks off. Just kind of get through it quickly. Get back to, you know, Bears Club or whatever. Go and work on the game. Come back out firing in the Masters and just let the results do the talking. There just feels like an over need to kind of speak rather than let the results talk, I think, with Rory. And it's frustrating as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it, Sam. Like, the difference with Koepka is he maintains a kind of facade of like being very strong, and it's a convincing facade of like being strong and having his armour on, and then when he wins and gets it across the line, he's willing to let the guard down and just kind of explain some of the troubles he's been going through, which I think it is fair enough, and it's maybe a good balance. He probably overdoes like the curt responses in the first place, but with Rory, it's kind of like he's saying stuff that makes him weak, I think. You know, I know that's a bit harsh, but no, because ultimately they are other competitors, and to tell Bryson, like, yeah, you know, you've really had a profound effect on the way I approach my golf. I don't know. Is that conceding a little bit too much? Whereas in the past, just to finish that point, in the past, you know, he said that when he won the Tour Championship, was it 2019, I guess, when he won? The year before Tiger won at Eastlake and Rory was in that final group. And, you know, he said afterwards, when he won the following year, to be honest, I didn't really enjoy it all that much last year watching Tiger win because I was in a great spot and I just feel like I didn't go out in the right headspace, and I'm proud of myself that I did manage to win this year and you know, make amends for the stuff last year. I'm like, that's fine because he's being honest and candid. He's just doing it at maybe an appropriate time, whereas if he's just, you know, pouring his heart out when he's in a kind of tough place with his golf game, is that a little bit of
there's
a
an
concession?
argument to say that certainly in the times that we're in now, to admit mental frailty is actually a strength, and perhaps to say that he, you know, this is what I'm going through and I am going to tackle it and I'm going to beat it. And there is an argument to say, I mean, I am nowhere near a sporting psychologist, but there is an argument to say that he's owning it and he's not shying away from it, and he's just going to climb, like Sam says, take that 3 weeks.
He is fueling the fire, though, isn't it? Sorry, he is fueling the fire, though, because it must drive him nuts seeing the speculation around his golf week in, week out, and then he stokes the fire. Tough. I agree with what you're saying, though. I think, you know, is he doing the right thing?
Yeah.
But I suppose looking at the tournament itself, there was some crazy stat like for the last 15 years, the winner hadn't come out of the final group. They'd all kind of come from that final group, so everyone's staring down the barrel of DeChambeau and Westwood. But that sort of rampage around the turn, birdie, eagle, birdie. I mean, he took it by the scruff of the neck, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it's such a good tournament course. Like, I saw some stuff on Twitter, and it was the usual sort of the woke brigade out with their sort of angry keyboards, sort of saying. I saw one tweet was like, you know, 17th at TPC has got absolutely no place in tournament golf, and I was like, it's just the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. You know, what is your goal with this? Like, you know, should we just be playing Seth Rayner 1920 golf courses with kind of nice edge bunkering? Like, you know, I'm down with all that stuff as well, but like, let's just join the real world here. Watching that, seeing the breadth, seeing people like Westwood up on the leaderboard with Bryson, seeing rookies in there as much as seasoned professionals, and seeing the amphitheatre and the atmosphere, and just the number of people that are engaged in that tournament. I'm like, you know, it's kind of like what you were saying last week, I think, Tom. Like, is the players more interesting than the PGA?
I've had a revelation recently to myself after I said that on the pod last week, and I talked about how good Sawgrass was as a visual thing, and I thought afterwards, you know, this is a truly penal golf course, and I've probably spent a lot of time on this podcast slamming penal golf courses, and I had this revelation actually that I don't want to play penal golf courses. Like, I'm not going to have fun around Celtic Manor. I'm not going to have fun around the Golf National or even TPC Sawgrass. It'd be great to play, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to have fun. I'm not going to score a great score. But I like watching penal golf.
Of course. Because you like watching people. That's the thing. We like watching people dance with danger, don't we? That's what's more entertaining. The more nuanced it becomes, the harder it becomes for the viewer. So, you want to see someone jamming it in close like Brian Harmon on 17, but knowing he's about a foot away from losing $500,000 because he's just taken double down a hole that he should have made 3. You can't get that on width and angles and all that. And it's totally, like we keep coming back to it on the pod. Playing these golf courses as an amateur is different to watching tournament golf played.
Oh, no, I think you absolutely hit the nail on there. I don't really have anything further to add there, other than to say...
First for the cookie jar pod.
Other than to say, the players, or rather TPC Sawgrass, is regarded as like the headquarters of the PGA Tour, essentially. They lay it all on for all the professionals there. Like, they have an incredible practice facility. As far as I'm aware, it's not actually a members club. And as we've said before, I think we mentioned it in the newsletter, like there's space in golf for all of these approaches. Where people get confused is when they're trying to make a one-size-fits-all solution, which is never going to work in this game. And as you say, Tom, like, your average golfer is going to have a horrendous time going around TPC. And there's actually video evidence of that where they've taken like 10, 12 handicappers and they're literally not going to break 100.
The clue's in the title, isn't it? TPC.
Yeah,
the Players Club.
Yeah,
that's what it stands for.
Hang on, I'm a player. I'm a baller.
But that's what it is. That's exactly what these things are. TPCs. They're essentially professionals clubs.
Yeah, and are there courses? I mean, maybe this is where we're really splitting hairs. But are there courses that can be enjoyable for both the top end professionals and also amateurs as well? I mean, people say the old course at St Andrews can do that, but it is a different golf course. Like, they are playing off very different tees. So I don't know how far you can stretch that. So
we've gone off topic. Justin Thomas, very, very good. Round the turn, took the tournament by the scruff of the neck, and he just completely dominated it. And he played very, very well. The only green he missed all day on that last round was the 18th, and that was by like a hair's breadth.
Whisker.
No one's ever done that, I think, at TPC. He's all 18 greens.
He hit 17, did he?
Yeah. He missed 18. You're not talking like fringe stuff.
Yeah, he ripped it off the front of the wedge, didn't he?
By the way, how ballsy was that shot off the 18th?
He never, ever meant to duck.
But he hit a rakey hook down 16.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's strong. But then 18, I don't think that was...
toe, mate, fundamentally.
It wasn't a complete toe.
It got about 40 yards off the ground, if that, and it was just like turning forever. And I think whoever was in the box at that time was like, that is just a fabulous
sharp intake
shot
of breath.
shape. Yeah. Fabulous drive. Look how good that is. It's like, the boy pretty much exclusively hits fades. There is no way he's trying to ropey draw down there on the 18th with basically a two-shot pushing it.
But you could see with his reaction, like, he went and put his head on his caddy's shoulder after.
And then
he wasn't trying to...
club twirl, didn't he?
Yeah,
like afterwards, about a minute later, he faked the club twirl.
Winning requires luck, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, and...
It was some performance though. He had
a bit of a redemption story in a way, looking back to a few months ago.
An overdone redemption story. I feel like it's kind of become a sort of subtitle to Justin Thomas every time he comes on camera now. It's like always, he's had a difficult time, grandfather, the sort of incident or whatever they call it.
Being dropped by Ralph Lauren,
being dropped by Ralph Lauren. You're like, let's move on now. I think,
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, he definitely got asked a lot about it by the American media. I think they laboured the point with him a bit too much, perhaps, and it seemed to affect his golf. I don't know, you're the stats man, Tom, but I can't imagine he's had many great finishes since the Tournament of Champions century.
He's had 1 second this year, and then the rest is like, it's been pretty sort of all over the place, really. But he,
so I think it has affected him, and it is good to see him back to winning.
His driving before this week was all over the place, and he kind of had on frozen rope, which
He
was bad first 3 rounds, I think.
When he's on, he looks
drove
good.
it poorly the first 3 rounds, and then the final round he got it together. I think.
Well, I think he was teed up on. He teed it up on Saturday, having really just made the cut. I think there wasn't much in it. Wasn't he?
Don't know. Let me check. That's great.
I think he was. It was something like. It was like 1 under level or something. Start Saturday. He's played lights out Saturday, and then really gone after it on Sunday, hasn't he? Which was, impressive. I mean, when he's on, he looks scary. He does seem to have these little spells of, maybe he just hits. Yeah, he does have a gear change in him, doesn't he? Would you agree? He kind of he can feature week in, week out, and then just turn on a form like that and you're like, yeah, there's no way Westwood's keeping up with this.
Yeah, 1 under, he made the cut and then went 7 under on...
what was the cut, 1 over or something like that?
I don't know what the cut was, but...
He shot 8 under, 4 under his last 2 rounds,
yeah.
64, 68.
I mean, that's going to get it done, isn't it, on the weekend?
That
Say that. I mean, if Westwood had shot 2 under, he would have won.
It did look tough on that last day, though. It looked firm and fast.
A bit firmer, yeah.
Can I tell you what left a slightly bad taste in my mouth?
I can't wait for this.
Brian Harmon.
Is it because you have the same haircut?
No, well, that'll come out on YouTube. It'll come out of lockdown. It's a bit sharp. I still need to figure out the right grade. Am I on my own here? Or is...
What? I thought he was ballsy. I thought he was brilliant. I enjoyed watching Harmon down the stretch.
Was there an interview or a quote you gave?
No, it's just a vibe. Just a vibe.
Okay, just for some context to the listeners, on our group WhatsApp, Sam just sends through after Harmon pats out an 18, I'm going to go to town on Harmon tomorrow. It's like, what's he done wrong?
Yeah, we always like objectivity at
what's he done wrong?
Well, exactly.
Is it because he's
anything
lefty?
but objective.
He's left-handed.
So I think it's tough to like watching left-handers play, with the exception of people like Mixon. But I know that's not going to
because he's different to you.
Yeah, I know. It's not an advantageous position for him being left-handed. A few things. Horrible
bigotry,
snakeskin belt. And if anyone noticed that, it was the most
didn't notice
abhorrent belt I think I've seen in decades. It's absolutely appalling thing.
Is this because you're an activist or because
it's just filth. It's just the filthiest thing I've ever seen on a golf course.
Right.
And his trousers are, they should just not be allowed. Like
was he wearing all black?
Yeah, well, all black, but they're like black they're like parachute pants. I mean, they're sort of flares almost. They're just. It's just a dreadful dress code on the course. I didn't like that.
So what's he supposed to wear? Skinny jeans?
But the big thing,
okay.
the guy's just got an absolutely filthy temper on him, I thought. A few times it cut to him in the early part of the week.
No. I'm not having this. We have been on this pod talking about Tyrrell Hatton and how we're all pulling for Tyrrell Hatton. He's always fiery. And now you can't have a go.
I think Hatton takes it out on himself. I saw Hatton take it out on the course a few times. And you could just tell he seemed like someone who had just a nasty edge to him.
Such conjecture.
It is conjecture, but I'll go there with it. I saw him. He put an iron. Almost 6 feet into the ground with so much rage on Friday. I watched him. I was like, whoa, that's poor form. And I saw a few times where he hold things, and it just seemed like celebration that turns into kind of with a sort of little side dish of anger. I don't know. I didn't like him. I thought he was a very tasteless guy. I didn't see him much week in, week out. He's been around on tour for years, hasn't he? But maybe we should do some more digging on it. And he's probably getting a far too bad rap, and nor would he care on a UK amateur golf podcast. But I would be keen to hear from our listeners if anyone else thought that Brian Harmon seemed like a fairly unsavoury individual.
Preferably with some kind of, actual decent reasoning and maybe objective basis to it, rather than that absolute vitriol that Sam's been
just to sum this all up. You don't like the way
don't dig the guy.
You don't like the way he dresses, so that's part of it. You don't like the way
he's left-hander.
He's left-handed, so he's different, a little bit different to you. You don't like the way that he cares about whether he loses or gains money.
No. He seems aggressive. He seemed to be an aggressive guy.
Okay.
Didn't dig that.
And those three things alone, snakeskin belt, dress code, and that's enough to...
You guys like him then?
No, I'm just indifferent, really. I'm just, he's a professional golfer. I don't have any animosity towards him. The stuff I'm hearing from you, it's like I don't know, did something horrendous to you.
I haven't got anything. No, so I'm going to end it on him.
He's not texting the missus or anything.
No, definitely not. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a pretty unsavoury character. Obviously this has been built up now to a fairly biblical level, but which probably doesn't need to be. I didn't take to the guy at all. I was watching him thinking, I really don't want this guy to win. And I don't usually think that about a player.
I don't know. I thought he was ballsy down the stretch. I like that. He took the 17th
great shot to 17. Fairness to him.
That one down the 17th was...
Played good. No one should be wearing black flares on the golf course in 2021.
I didn't see flares.
In baking hot sun. Yeah.
No one should be wearing crocodile skin belts. They are, they're just unacceptable.
Are we going to give Ben Ann's 11 on 17 any coverage?
It seems like you already have. So.
Yeah.
What's that?
Sounds like you already have. I think we're kind of...
Well, we should do. Strong game, isn't it? That's just...
Yeah.
It was
Guy took it in good spirits, though, didn't he?
Lovely
tweeted
tweet.
himself after. So
that was quite funny.
I don't think we realise how hard those greens are. So easy to watch golf from the armchair, and a few of them get a bit of rip on it, but some of those, particularly 17, look so hard because they're sending in moonballs to these greens, and they're not getting any check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think I could hit that green.
It's 30 feet deep, isn't it? So you've got to be pretty much spot on with your distance control, assuming that it's going to have a decent hop. Zach Johnson, who's out there hitting low draws,
he's 5 iron.
He's got to land it on the front sleeper if he's got a chance. If he's got a chance of holding it.
I think he went rescue on the Friday.
Or he's the guy can't spell fade, so that's just unfortunately something he has to do. But it's penal golf hole. They're the best players in the world, and Adam Scott didn't find it difficult, did he? So
no.
There were some fairly big names to miss the cut. Obviously, we've discussed Rory, Finau, Schauffele.
Basically, everyone we picked last week.
That was
pretty
embarrassing.
Much, I think.
Seems to have gone under the radar.
I took 2 out of 3, so I'm pleased with my.
So you got 2 out of 3 through.
Yeah, Hideki missed the cut.
So Rahm got through, then shot 1 over in the final round, didn't he?
Yeah, Rahm's another one who looked very temperamental yesterday. Very hot.
He's always temperamental.
And under the armpits.
Was he blaming his Callaway gear or?
No, but he took it out in his sort of quad very firmly with his fist, and I thought, crikey, that was. Did you see that?
Yeah,
it made it. You could hear a good noise through the TV speaker.
Yeah, I find Rahm can be quite difficult to. Like when he's angry.
So that's what I'm talking about with Harman.
Yeah, I just feel like Rahman's probably a great sample size there because he's the top player, and the coverage naturally tends to focus on him a lot more. But no, I get your
It's
point.
not about bagging players, but again, you see it with Rahm. It's hard to want him to win when
he's so angry. Yeah. Who else did you pick? So you picked Bezuidenhout and Rahm
and Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah, Hideki missed the cut. You picked Spieth, who looked like in a good spot and just faded. Finau and Rory.
And Spieth just about
scraped through.
Just about played.
Well, I mean, I picked Cantley, who missed the cut. Hovland, who also missed the cut. Interestingly, I don't know if you saw this. His mum called a 2-shot penalty on him.
Where?
No.
Yeah, apparently.
What at the weekend?
Phoned
not on the Friday. She phoned in and was like, he's taken an incorrect drop. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
And now we're going into this. Now we're going into some salacious gossip.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm pretty confident. I don't know whether it's on the Golf Digest feed or.
Was it on Bunkered? Is it on Bunkered?
Have you not heard this?
No, I haven't. You're going to have to tell me.
Right. Okay. So it was posted on the Golf Digest Instagram page. It was a retweet.
You are all over Golf Digest.
It was
just
essentially
FYI,
saying
every week it's become your only source. Tom's using Bunkered, you're using Golf Digest.
I'm still going to have to look that up.
The person who alerted Victor Hovland that he didn't replace his ball properly, thus leading to a 2-shot penalty, was his mother.
Shut up.
That is some tough love.
I thought they'd stop the ability to call in these things. Because didn't
is that a thing? I didn't even know that was a thing.
No, they didn't, because I remember there was some...
It's the US Open, wasn't it?
No, but AT&T,
So you can call in from the course a ruling that you don't see.
Yeah. So it happened. James Ridyard, who's a fantastic instructor that I'd urge anyone to follow if they want to know about short game stuff. He posted something on Instagram during the AT&T when he was caddying for Francesco Molinari, saying that someone had phoned in claiming that he was lining Molinari up out of a bunker, and actually it was just you could see with the foreshortening of the camera lens he was just stood well back, but he was on a similar line, and Molinari got docked a 2-shot penalty for violating that rule.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so
his mum
it's very much
him for
calling in very much
not
alive
putting
and
a ball
well.
Back,
didn't replace the ball properly in his second round, I believe.
Wow.
Missed the cut by 1 or 2.
Are they on good terms? His mum. Is she phoned in from Norway or Denmark?
Norway.
Sweden?
It's Norway.
Norway. She phoned in from Norway.
Surrounded by bigots here.
Scandinavia?
What to say about that? I'm kind of floored.
Well, that's a bit of controversy, so that's why he missed the cut.
I mean, we'd have to look at the tapes on this.
Is she insinuating he did it incorrectly?
Yeah.
Or is she, as in like on purpose? Or is she saying like, spirit of the game stuff?
I think so. Spirit of the game. Like you've dropped it incorrectly.
You got it wrong.
Come on. You're not short of.
So what was it? Below the knee or something? What did he do wrong?
We're going to have to dig the tapes up on this because there's a load of context around this that's going to make it clearer. I mean, who knows?
If my mum did that, there'd be some words.
Just on mothers, old schedule, players always used to finish on Mother's Day, which is a different Mother's Day in the US. In May.
Yeah.
You always used to finish on Mother's Day in the US.
Yeah,
now they've
Mother's Day
moved it.
UK.
It hits on Mother's Day.
We've got an Anglophile in the
I don't know.
ranks.
And then we've got, perhaps, and then we've got Hovland's mother shopping him 2 days. I don't know. There's something in there, some sort of matriarchal theme. But
I actually found that as
I did spot that at the weekend and just thought that's bonkers. Remember, they always used to wear pink, didn't they, on the last day?
Yeah. God, back in the days when Keimer was just winning the players in the US Open in the same stretch. Oh.
Halcyon days.
he had a good US Open last year. He had a good first round anyway. He was like leading.
Two very different things there, Tom. He had a good US Open. By that, I mean he had a good first round.
Yeah, he was like leading
played
after the first
before,
round, wasn't he? They fell apart. But no, we got some in the Florida swing now. We've got the Honda coming this week. Obviously famed for the bear trap. It's a decent track.
You've played it, haven't you?
I've played it. We did this exact conversation on the pod last year.
PJ National, was that penal enough?
I went through the bear
liking?
trap in 1 under. Not going to tell anyone that, but I did. You laugh. But no, it was. It's a again another Floridian
watered Floridian golf course.
You'd think like the in Florida they're all just like sadists, but they've just got such low laying land and all that water that it's impossible not to have that water around. No, another penal golf course would be good to watch that. Obviously, Ricky Fowler, we say it week in week out, has got good history.
I don't say this. I never talk up Ricky Fowler. You can go back through the archives. I have never talked Ricky Fowler up.
Ricky Fowler.
We covered the Fowler.
You covered Fowler when we were talking about Phoenix Waste Management. You're talking. He's got a great history there, and I had to pull you up and say Hideki's got.
Have we covered the Faldo tweet?
Nick Faldo.
Yeah, about Ricky Fowler.
No,
about a week and a half ago now.
No.
So this tweet was. I think Fowler might not have played in the Players.
No, he missed the cut.
Yeah,
he missed the cut.
Yeah.
He's missing some majors or something. I'm trying to remember. We're going back in time.
Well, he's outside the top 50 now, so
Correct.
he might be not.
So I think Faldo just went straight back on Twitter and was like, "Yeah, well, I'll give him more time to shoot some more commercials anyway, won't it?" Which I thought was pretty bold.
Don't throw stones from glass houses. Is that the expression?
Like
to be fair, maybe. Yeah, I don't. He's not in a great place with his golf, is he? But is that just the nature of professional golf?
Yeah, and he swapped coaches, of course. He ditched Butch, didn't he? And
oh right, who's he working with now?
I'm not sure he's working with now, but I know he ditched Butch and he's gone on to a new coach. And look, whenever anyone makes a swing change, it would be naive to think it happens overnight, and there is a period of bedding in, but it doesn't look like there's light at the end of the tunnel for Ricky so far.
No.
I'll walk this back a little bit. So it turns out, Faldo walked it back on the 5th of March. I just, when you started talking Fowler, I thought, I didn't know if we'd cover that. What his tweet said was basically in response to an article that Fowler could miss the cut for making the 2021 Masters. And Faldo tweeted, "Good news, if he misses the Masters, he can shoot another 6 commercials that week." So... yeah.
And then Faldo walked it back and said, "I'm sorry."
I think he probably thought he'd got a bit. I mean, that's probably sounds like a half bottle of red wine sort of tweet, doesn't it? Possibly, it's just one of those you can get a bit quick on the draw. But
John Tillery is now his coach.
Oh right, okay, Tillery. Jumped around a little bit.
What have we got coming up then?
Well, we got Honda. We got another.
We haven't.
We've got Honda. We're all going to be teeing up in the Honda. Yeah. We've got a nice pod coming up at the end of the week.
I'd go as far as say it's one of the best architecture pods we've done.
Well, you guys run it. Why don't you? I missed it due to the birth of my second child. So what is it?
Excuses.
Great news all round, really. No, it was a fantastic podcast. We got to spend some time with Frank Pont of Clayton DeVries Pont and Ed Cartwright again, which was great to talk about Harry Colt's legacy, really, and his principles of architecture and just the kind of cause restoration work more broadly, Frank's career and how he got into it. It was very interesting, insight into that. He, underwent a bit of a career change and is now revered as one of the world's expert, if not the world expert on Harry Colt courses, and obviously pretty close to our own thoughts as well, being the person overseeing the restoration of Blackwell Golf Club. So it was fascinating to talk about that, and maybe a couple of debates in course architecture at the moment that we've touched on in this pod, actually, about penal golf courses, and when you look to restore something versus when you look to improve on something and make it better. We kind of covered it all, really.
It's been said on the pod a few times that people always cite Colt as kind of one of their favourite architects. Never realised until kind of fairly recently just the breadth and scale and the influence of the guy, not just the size of his portfolio, but really how he kind of trailblazed that whole industry of being a professional golf course architect. I mean, I think it's a really good one. I guess there's a number of people that listen to this podcast regularly that play at Colt courses in around England. So, and in there's quite a lot of stuff around kind of how some of those design principles have gone lost through the years, and different sort of cycles of green committees and stuff, which is obviously something we've talked about on earlier pods. So I guess if there's an ask it, share it around your local greens committee, because you never know. Some of that stuff might just strike a note with, what people are looking at your own club. But that's it.
And while we're at sharing, please do, if you've got any comments or posts, please do get in touch on @CookieJarGolf. And please do, if you haven't already, just leave a review on Apple Podcasts or anything like that, because all these things do help us out. So leave a review, comment, share, like, smash that subscribe button, and all the rest of the things that we need to do.
So close to leaving a very nice message there at the end there until you said smash.
Smash that like button. So until then, chaps, it's been good to catch up with you and chat a thing. We'll do it next week. See you soon.
Adios.
Watch this.